Hi, welcome to this screencast, and we're working on completing this graphic organizer on the concept of proportionality so that we can answer two questions really. How do I know when there is a constant proportionality, and once I know there is one, where will I find it in the table graph of the equation? So let's get started with tables, and they're the ones that are the most tricky. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be writing some notes in here, and you're going to write them down too, and I'm going to talk you through it and show you some examples. So the first thing is, in a table, you know that it is going to have a constant proportionality when the values in the table are proportional. And if you ever need to pause to write down these notes, you can feel free to do that. Now here's how I'm going to determine whether or not they're proportional. I'm going to take the y values, or the dependent values, and divide them by their corresponding independent values, and I should get the same constant. So if I take a second point in the table and take the y value and divide it by the x value that goes with it, I should get the same constant. And that constant would be the constant proportionality. So let me show you an example here. If I'm looking at the Howies Pizza problem, where we had, if he delivers, they charge a $5 delivery fee, but typically they just charge $13 per pizza. If I start with this one, the one on the bottom, and I take, here's the dependent variable, the y values on the y-axis. If I take 13 and divide it by 1, I get 13. If I take 26 and divide it by 2, I still get 13. 39 divided by 3, 13. 130 divided by 10, 13. So I'm getting the same number every time when I divide the price by the number of pizzas. That means it's proportional. So if I divide the y values by the x values, I should get the constant of proportionality. If I try that same strategy here when it delivers, watch what happens. $18 divided by 1 is 18, but $31 divided by 2 pizzas is $15.50. Try here 10 pizzas. $135 divided by 10 is $13.50. So do you see how it's not staying the same constant? That's because it's not proportional, because that extra fee. So the delivery one is not proportional, does not have a constant proportionality. But another place to find it, if you do know the data is proportional, is the constant proportionality would be, you're going to look in the table where x is 1. Find in the table where your x value or your independent variable is 1, and that will be where your constant proportionality is. So in this table, one pizza costs $12. 12 is my constant proportionality. So let's look at graphs. So in a graph, to determine whether or not there's going to be a constant proportionality, you're going to look for two things. First thing you're going to look for is that the line is straight. And if we go back to this graph here with Howies Pizza, with their delivery, with their carry out here, and then their delivery with the extra charge. You notice both of those lines are straight. So at this point, they both passed the first test. But there's something else we should look for. The second thing you want to look for is the line goes through the origin. And the origin is the point 0, 0. So only one of these two graphs goes to the origin. And that's when you pick up the pizza. If you pick up the pizza yourself, you don't pay an extra fee. So 0 pizzas is $0. Since the yellow line here, you're paying a $5 fee for delivery, that's why it's not going to be proportional, because it doesn't go through the origin. It's always off by 5. And so then this yellow line is not proportional. So if it's not proportional, I wouldn't look for a constant proportionality. But when it is proportional, just like this graph, because this graph, see, the line is straight and it goes through 0, 0, the constant of proportionality is going to be at the point where x equals 1. So one place to find it is you look in the graph where x is 1, and that y value is the constant proportionality. Or if you know something else about the graph, like if you know the constant rate of change is going to be the same as the cup. And for the last one, the equations that have this formula, this format, when they have the dependent variable equals the constant rate of change times the independent, those are the types of equations that are proportional. So you'll know because there will be only one number that's being multiplied by the independent variable and there's nothing added or subtracted or anything. So if the equation is in simplest form, then the only number in the equation will be the constant of proportionality. It's going to be the same as the crock. So in this equation here, notice what's happening. The dependent variable equals the independent being multiplied by a number, and that number is the constant of proportionality. So you will keep these notes in your reference. You may glue them in, and then you can use this when studying and preparing your homework as you navigate through the concept of proportionality. Thanks.